Hi, everyone. I'm Wei Chen from University of Connecticut. So today we're going to talk about a paper that we are trying to think through how generative AI affects organizations. We have heard a lot of studies about AI versus human, AI with human. This one, we'll try to put it into our organization context and try to think it through. My co-author Fasan is here. We are revising this paper. So if you have any feedback about this paper, feel free to talk to us after the talk. So what is this paper about? This one will put AI into our organization structure. For economists in the room, it's Cascalo type of model. We have managers and workers. Workers start to use AI. And we model as hallucination as a key feature of generative AI. And then try to look at capability enhancement versus productivity improvement. And we also look at human-in-the-loop validation. But today, the message that I want to convey to this audience is we find there disparity of the different effects. Capability enhancement tend to have a de-skilling effect in organizations, while productivity improvement might have an upskilling effect in organizations. So let's jump into this paper. So I have been doing a lot of industry talks to different organizations about generative AI. And I usually do this survey. How many of you use generative AI almost every week? Right? Like everybody in the room. How many of you use generative AI almost every day? Like at least 2/3 of the room. So you have seen this growing like in the last year. I did maybe 30, 40 types of talks to industry and learned from that. This is a survey from Microsoft and LinkedIn. So like many people are starting to use AI at work. And if you don't use it, your competitor is going to use it. If you don't allow your employee or students to use them, they're going to use them secretly, right? So it's there, it's coming here. So what we are trying to model here is like when you use generative AI in organizations to workers, how will that change the organization structure and the labor market, like as we think through this? Gen AI has a problem that is it hallucinates, right? It generates responses that's very similar to legitimate responses, but it's actually making things up. So this is a McKinsey survey about what businesses are worried about generative AI. Inaccuracy is the number one concern there, and it's increasing from 2023 to 2024. So it is the number one problem people are trying to address in business context. But then you may say, well, we can build bigger and better models. Would that solve that? There is a recent Nature paper about bigger models actually hallucinate more. So this figure is very simple. Smaller models, larger models on each of the figure from simple to more difficult problems. And as you can see, for smaller models, the red one is when they make up things and actually make a mistake. The middle one says, I don't know. It just admits they don't know. But bigger models, they don't do that. They just say it confidently about what's going to happen. And you can see as the problem becomes harder, they are actually making more mistakes. Like almost getting to 100% of making up things. So it's not a problem that's going to go away with bigger models. So what do we need to do? We need humans to control these models. So we have seen the Cloud Code this morning, right? My experience of using that is I use it a lot in Curse and GitHub Copilot. My experience is that my knowledge level becomes the upper bound of those agents. So I was writing Jupyter Notebook, and I can control things very easily. And I was writing JavaScript. It generates 13 files in one run, and it's like an autonomous train that's going off track. So it destroys all my folder, and I have to start again. So we need human to control these AIs. So what we are trying to do in this paper is to say how, once you get Gen AI into your organization, how would the advancement of Gen AI in terms of capability and reliability would affect the organization structure? And also, how do productivity improvement affect this organization structure? And lastly, we look at human-in-the-loop validations. But in terms of time, I may have time to cover the first two. So let's get into the model. So what we have is a simple two-layer organization. We have one manager. We have one worker and n managers. So n here is a fraction. So in this case, is 1/3 of a manager, so that like the span of control is 1/n, that is 3 in this case. So this is this follows a long tradition of economics literature studied by Cascalo. So like on all top econ journals. So what does this model? We have worker who has the knowledge level of X, and they can solve problems from 0 to X reliably. Beyond that, the worker doesn't know that. The worker has to talk to the manager so that the manager communicate to the worker, tell the worker what you need to do, and then the worker go and do the job and finish the job. So the problem comes in, which is stochastic with a difficult level between 0 and 1. So what does the firm do in this case? The firm hire the worker and the manager to do this job. And what they need to decide is the worker's knowledge level, X, right? How good a worker you are going to hire in your organization so that they get the job done, that one unit of job that comes in every time. So there are wages you have to pay. There is a fixed wage, W, for each of them. There is a knowledge premium acquisition cost. So it's kind of a quadratic form. And with this manager, one worker, you need that many managers, so that fraction of managers to do this job. So very simple model. And then you can calculate the optimal knowledge level X of the worker. Okay, so you can decide that this is pre-Gen AI. There is no Gen AI in this case. Workers know, what they don't know, and they do the work. Now, what Gen AI introduced to this model is now the workers are enabled to do things that may be beyond their knowledge level X. So here, with this yellow portion, the Gen AI can help the worker to do some more work in that region. Okay, so for here, we modeled it so that Gen AI solves our portion of the rest of the problem, 1 minus X. So we modeled it following the literature that Gen AI benefits lower skill workers a little bit more. So when that portion becomes like smaller, Gen AI's benefit is going to become smaller and smaller. But that setup doesn't really affect our kind of results. We have tried different ways to model this Gen AI benefits. As long as you have this hierarchy and capability enhancement, all the results hold. Okay, so now we can do more with Gen AI. What's the downside? The downside is we have this hallucination, right? So this, with some probability H, the Gen AI is going to hallucinate. That will give us a hallucination cost with this portion of work that's done by Gen AI and really negatively affect our profit of the firm. So very straightforward. Now, once you compare these two cases, you can say when organizations are going to adopt AI and how does the capability of AI, that is how much you can extend the capability, and the reliability, which is the hallucination cost, would affect the skills of the workers and the organization structure there. Okay, so let's now take a look at the result. So the first one, I'm going to skip the technical propositions here, just to give you the kind of higher picture of results. The first result that we have is when Gen AI's hallucination probability is low enough, organizations are going to adopt this. And when Gen AI becomes more better, in this case, enhanced capability or decreased hallucination rate, we are going to see a de-skilling effect. So this is very easy to understand. When AI becomes bigger, better, so that means they can do more for us, and they are more reliable when they do more for us. That means we can hire less skilled workers. So organizations are naturally going to choose to hire lower skilled workers. We also look at other matrix, firm profit, and other things. But the focus here is on the worker knowledge level, the equilibrium knowledge level X. In that case, organizations are going to hire less skilled workers. So that's about the skill level. We call it the de-skilling effect. So now, what does that say about organization structure? Are we going to have a flatter organization because of this, or a steeper, or like one manager managing fewer workers in this case? So the intuition will be something like this. Okay, let's look at hallucination reduction first. AI becomes better. Now they are more reliable. We have more capable workers because we are having worker plus AI to do this thing. And we're going to need fewer managers in this case, right? What we found is the opposite. So when AI becomes more reliable, we're going to even have a smaller span of control. That means one manager is going to manage fewer workers. Why? This comes from this de-skilling effect. When Gen AI becomes better, you hire less skilled workers in this case. In that sense, you are putting more burden on the manager to check about things that they cannot do. And that will make the span of control smaller. Okay? Then we look at higher capability. So this one is more nuanced. When we have more capable Gen AI and we have more capable worker, do we have fewer managers? The answer is it will first decrease. So the number of managers we need will first increase. That is, span of control will decrease and then increase. So there are two ideas here. One is the direct knowledge augmentation effect. Workers becomes better. When Gen AI, the capability becomes much better, you are going to have like more capable workers. But at the same time, you still have this de-skilling effect from the organization level. And these two will have to compete with each other. And when the capability enhancement is relatively low, you see this R is from 0 to 0.3. When that's relatively low, as it becomes better, the organization is going to be, now you need more managers to manage these unskilled workers. So that's what we have here. And when the Gen AI capability becomes even higher, then we might have an expansion of span of control because now workers are much more capable with that. Okay, so that's the beginning of this story. We just compare with Gen AI and without Gen AI, and also capability enhancement and hallucination reduction. So the span of control results is interesting. But then we started to think about another dimension of Gen AI. That is productivity improvement. When you use Gen AI, all of us use it almost daily here, right? So you find your productivity becomes much higher. How would that affect the skilling of organizations and the organization's span of control? So here is how we model this. What we did was, okay, now we become more productive. So we need 1/8 of the workers and 1/8 of the managers to do the same 1 unit of work. So basically cost decrease for all of this. Very simple setup. And everything else remained the same from our previous model. So now, number of workers and number of managers decreased. Cool. Okay, so what do we find? So when this productivity improvement factor becomes larger, we're actually going to see an increased knowledge worker level and increased span of control. What does that mean? Now you are going to hire more skilled workers instead of less skilled workers compared to the previous situation. What happens there? Right? So now we are having more productivity. So one person can do 5 people's work. Now with hallucination, they make 5 times the mistake. The organizations are going to make a trade-off. If that's the case, maybe I just hire more capable people until I push it to the full knowledge level that they don't make mistakes. They do all the work. So that might explain the discrepancies that we see in the empirical literature. So you say we have different results. So my time is limited, so I will jump to the last slide here. That for some industries that are like capability enhancement, probably with customer support, you might see a de-skilling effect because lower skilled workers benefit more from this Gen AI wave of technology. For other industries, you might see an upskilling effect that you, like some, as I was talking to some software company and IT consulting company, they are keeping all their senior workers and freeze hiring about junior workers, but give AI tools to all their senior workers. So we also look at other things, but our message here is you have to think about what are you talking about when you talk about Gen AI in your organization. For your industry, what is it? Is it capability enhancement, hallucination reduction, and productivity improvement? Okay, I will end my talk here. Thank you. The paper is up on SSRN, so thank you.
Questions? Please use the microphone.
So I'm curious, my experience with the newer reinforcement learning trained models is that it's really a path to get the hallucination rate way down. Does that not match your observations?
So I think that actually, like our model actually captures that. Like no matter how you do it, as long as the hallucination cost goes down, risk goes down, our model captures that, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Question? Please use the microphone.
So I want to ask a question about in your paper, seem like you try to say AI will affect workers. Then because of that, then the span of control change. Then how about AI affect managers? Maybe AI can also enhance managing capability.
Yeah, that's a good question. We got asked a lot about this question. For now, we are simplifying things. We are saying the managers knows everything and they are not using AI to enhance their productivity. One thing that we are working on in a follow-up paper is to say now the manager can manage multiple workers. They use AI or they're managing a bunch of agents. And how would the design of agents in that case affect this whole kind of equilibrium here? So we don't have a clear answer for that yet, but that's what we are trying to continue the thinking of this stream of work. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.